Hi there, Paula or Tim, can you hear me?
Are you there, Helen?
Oh, hi there. Hey, Tim, I'm just wondering, I know we're moments from starting the meeting, but is the final language then in the Wasatch Boulevard resolution, could you email that to me? Because I don't think I ever was clear. I know Scott Bracken made some suggested changes. Are we going to be voting on that tonight in the business meeting?
Yes, we are, Ellen.
We
Yes.
are. Who's got
And
that?
so the final language then, is it what Scott suggested, or is it what Shane had originally, or?
I think we
Is there any
determined in the work session to go ahead with the changes that Scott had put into that document.
Okay. Could you, Tim, just forward that to me, because some reason
Yeah, Shane is going to send it to you right now. It's on its way.
Thank you. Super. Thank you. Super. Thank you so much.
Welcome. My name is Mayor Mike Wickers. This is our Cottonwood Heights City Council business meeting for March 1st, 2022. We will begin our meeting tonight reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked our city manager, Tim Tingy, to lead us in the pledge.
Would everyone please stand and repeat?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one God.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. Okay, the next item on our agenda this evening is a citizen comment period. Looks like we have one person so far, so we will ask Nancy Hardy to come up.
Hi, Mayor and council members. I had just a couple thoughts. It's an old thought, but some new people. There are Jersey barriers around the city, and to me, they look like it's a temporary construction zone. So if they're going to be, say, for example, going down Bingle to Wasatch on the right, if that's a permanent thing, maybe that could be part of a beautify Cottonwood Heights, something on the list, replace them with something that serves the same purpose but looks permanent and nice. There's some on Wasatch. I mean, anyway, that was just a thought. And also Is there a place on the website, and I apologize if there is and I didn't find it, that just keeps progress reports of short and long-term things that are going on in the city? I know that there's that bike and trails master plan, the Bonneville shoreline, and the old mill has been talked about every so often, but just let people know what's happening or not happening. And in the past, way past, there were some special studies done here on the Fort Union corridor, and there was another Fort Union corridor by BYU, and different things that where citizens met several times and put their ideas in. Do any of those factor into the Fort Union master plan or the Wasatch master plan? Some of those ideas that that were really good and put in by citizens. Thank you.
If you don't, Mayor.
Thank you, Nancy.
okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Scott.
The Fort Union Master Plan it relied heavily on a lot of that input that I know you were involved in one of those sections. So yes, on the Fort Union Master Plan. And
But I also don't see any reason that we wouldn't accept more citizen ideas and comments, and absolutely. I think, especially as we're adjusting our general plan.
right, that is coming up, and there's some initial talks about fixing this issue down the road. I don't know how long that will be, but I know it's on the list. Now Tim doesn't have to answer that question.
I will have, Tim, do you want to address the website, or do we want to do that after in an email? Okay, we'll address that in an email, Nancy. Thank you. I thought those were very good comments, and the Jersey barriers as well. Do we know what are they, where those are specifically?
We do. Matt, do you want to share that?
Those particular ones on Bengal? Is that
Yeah,
the question? Wasatch, those belong to the state. So, but along Bengal, those will be getting changed out with the project, the Bengal intersection. So at this point, I wouldn't do anything with it.
Okay. Thanks, Nancy. It doesn't look like there are any other comments. Do you have?
Yeah, I just want to, for the record, and I distributed this to the city council via email, but we received a comment from Diane Forrester Burke, and she asked to distribute her comments for the meeting tonight. And it relates to the idea of reducing the speed on Wasatch to 35 miles per hour. So I shared that with the council. I want to make sure that it's understood that that's part of the public record, that we've included that.
Thanks, Tim. With that, I will close the citizen comment period. Oh,
I think there's a hand raised on line.
right. Okay. Looks like John Adams. Hi, John.
Hey, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey, thanks for the time. Yeah, just a quick comment. I was listening to the meeting earlier today with a presentation about upcoming surveys. And you were talking about frequency of surveys and what type of questions to ask and things like that. One of the things, my thought on that is, I hate to say a survey of a survey, was almost getting a feel from citizens as what type of questions they want asked. And my thought was specifically towards the challenges that people are feeling from growth. Envision Utah just recently did a survey broader than, of course, our area. But there's a lot of folks that are uneasy about growth. I think maybe they're not even sure why they're uneasy about it. For times past, growth was always the goal and always what was going to fix everything. And I think that's changing a little bit. So I just want to throw out a suggestion that maybe perhaps we poll some citizens about what type of questions they want to see in the survey and start to uncover where some of this uneasiness is about growth. I mean, everyone wants prosperity, but we live in a pretty prosperous city already. And maybe it's the underlying goal changes a little bit towards how we make our city thrive versus grow. Growth is okay if it happens, but I think it's an underlying goal of our economic model and something we just accept. UDOT puts it in our face all the time when they want to do things like the plans that they're talking about with their EIS. And they always say, yeah, we have to do this because of growth. And growth is just kind of an accepted thing. So I think that might be something we could put a little more thought into for the citizen survey. And if I could, one other comment on the Between the Canyons newsletter that goes out. This struck me during the elections is most media for news is to present news and usually has the ability to have opinions in there as well. And I always read the leading story on our newsletter as a news, but it really, I realized it's an opinion section. But because it's the lead story, sometimes maybe citizens don't realize that the lead story on our monthly newsletter is actually an opinion section versus kind of news. And my thought was either to make that more noticeable or perhaps move it to the back so we have news in the front and opinions in the back that people could respond to. Just a thought. I'm not sure if others have the feeling of that read that, but it kind of, I was aware of it during the elections. That was it. Thank you for the time.
John, sorry, did you hear my question?
I'm sorry. When I stopped talking, all of a sudden I couldn't hear you guys. I apologize. Now I can hear you again.
That was my fault. I didn't have the microphone on. So my question was, are you talking about the articles that the mayor and the city council and the city manager take turns writing? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, it's the, I had asked some questions about one of the articles in there, and I think Tim or Son responded to me and said, listen, these are opinion sections for the people that are writing that. This isn't, what the city necessarily thinks. It's just an opinion section. And I just never really thought of the lead story as an opinion, but I started talking to some other people about it and they're like, yeah, I never really thought about that either. Every news periodical you read has the news in the front and opinions in the back.
Great. Well, thank you for that clarification. Thanks, John. And we will for sure take that under advisement.
Thank you.
So without seeing any other participants, I will close the citizen comment period. Our next item on our agenda this evening is a public hearing and comment period. 4.0. 4.1 is our first item number, and it is a proposed budget amendment for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. And we will have our Administrative and Fiscal Services Director, Scott Georges, come and address us.
Okay, so I was able to update this from our finding the error in this earlier today when we were going over it in the work meeting, and I handed the new copies of that out to each of you so that you can have that, and I sent it out to Paula and she'll include that in the minutes and things that are sent out later. Excuse me. So again, just to kind of go over things, this is organized by fund. So within the general fund, the first item is the 2021 bond refinanced of the 2014 and 2016 bonds. I didn't look up the overall. It's a little bit more than $1 million that we save over the life of this, but its averages out to about $85,000 a year on the savings. This particular year, it's a $200,000 savings. This is just a reduction in the transfer going to the debt service fund, and I'll go over the details of that when we get down to that fund. Item number 2 is a Utah State Arts and Museums grant for $4,500 that's intended to help offset some costs associated with an FTE that we have. Item number 3 is a ZAP grant, Zoo Arts and Parks grant from the county. This is the first funnel of money, $8,520 that will be utilized by the Arts Council. Item number 4 is a myriad of Brooksea Marathon reimbursements from the marathon back in September. So first item is police overtime for $16,800. The other next item is $6,235 for insurance related to the buses to move the runners up the canyon. And the remaining amount is $706 of just miscellaneous costs that we absorbed in that. So that totals $23,741. Item number 5 is again, the police, the Justice Assistance Grant, often termed JAG grant. That is for $5,719 that will be utilized for training within the police department. Item number 6 is cell phone auction proceeds. So when the police replace their cell phones, they auction the old ones off. And this is $950 that was obtained from that auction. Utilize these funds to help offset the cell phone bill in the police department. Excuse me, item number 7, evidence and unclaimed cash contribution. This was reviewed either the prior city council meeting or the one before that. It's the lost funds for $263 that we were found, and we plan to make a contribution to the Cottonwood Heights Park and Recreation Foundation for those funds so that that can be used for those who need that. Item number 8, Canyon School District of Andover time reimbursement. This is when you have maybe a school dance or a school sporting event or whatever, and we provide some security at that event for our officers, and they go in there and do that, and they reimburse us. And to date, that's $3,270 that we've received on that. Number 9 is police DUI shift. And this comes from the Utah State Division of Public Safety through their Highway Safety Office. To date, it's $17,928 that we've received, and we are asking that to go back into the overtime budget for police. Number 10, click it or ticket overtime of $3,946, again, similar to the item number 9 on that. Item number 11 is restitution, and this is restitution oftentimes associated with a crashed vehicle, usually police vehicles, because of the nature of the things that they do. So we're asking to utilize this to go in to offset some vehicle repairs in the police budget. Item number 12 is a contribution to Anzac Park. Well, it's really a contribution to Cottonwood Heights Park and Recreation District, but to be utilized on the Anzac Park improvements. And the source of these funds would be the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we haven't yet received. So we'll utilize some general funds to cover that until we receive those funds. We'll either receive those funds in like May, June, July kind of time frame. We're just not sure exactly when we'll receive that. Item number 13, this is where I made the adjustment to what went out in the agenda. So it's to transfer $47,400 to the Capital Improvements Fund to cover these new projects, and then to reduce the parks maintenance and water budget by $47,400. So there's a net zero impact on the general fund on this particular line item. Item number 14 is a transfer to the Capital Improvements Fund to fund the design funding on the Public Works building so that we can have biddable plans in order to be able to move forward on that project and really quantify everything as we prepare for a bond and things going forward on that. So you can see below, the net is an increase of $353,501 in expense or transfers and $69,329 in revenue. So the net impact on our general fund is a use of about $284,000 in funds in the current year. Moving to the debt service fund, this is where all the accounting for the bond refinance. As I talked before in our work meeting, the 2014 and 2016 bonds are not fully callable at this point in time. There are only little bits of them are callable, but in 2024, more of them become callable. As a matter of fact, all of it becomes callable at that point in time. So much of the funds that we have goes into an escrow account, similar to an escrow that you would have on a mortgage or what have you. And we utilize those funds. They earn interest in there from an investment that's in, actually happens to be in T-bills, because it has to be very secure because of the type of funding that it is. And we utilize those funds to pay for some debt service over the next several years, and then all the debt service that remains on the 2014 and 16 bonds gets paid off by them in 2024. So then we just have the outstanding bond of the 2021 refinancing that goes out for the life of that bond. So basically, we have expenses of $71,548 in interest, offset by interest earnings of $175,000, so about $104,000 to the good on that. Item number 2 is the actual proceeds of the bond. So the proceeds of the bond is $14,171,000. We had to pay, and this was financed as part of the bond, $77,000 of closing costs on that. I believe there's going to be a little bit of money left over on that, maybe up to about $1,000 that we'll eventually be able to utilize towards bond debt service once that all falls through, but it'll be about that moving forward. Then on item number 3 is the net reduction in terms of the debt service, that requirements in the debt service fund, so we don't have to transfer as much over as we initially did. So this is a reduction of $200,000 into the debt service fund to cover those debt service needs. And then it fluctuates back up by about $45,000 in our next budget year, and then stays about at that level going forward down into the years as we move forward. But it does fluctuate a little bit each year from what the old debt service schedules outlined. Moving to the capital improvements fund, this is the items recommended by the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee that we're transferring money from the general fund down for. $10,000 for the pollinator garden at Mountain View Park, hammock posts at Golden Hills Park for $2,400, and Ferguson Canyon upgrades of $35,000. It's a total of $47,400 that will be covered by that one-time transfer down from the general fund. Item number 2 just reflects that Public Works building design funding that's coming down and budgets it so that we can actually pay out whatever contract we put in place for that when that comes along. So that's the outline of all of the budget adjustments to date. We will be having a couple more that will flow in probably in May. We'll catch up some other police overtime reimbursement items. We know that we're going to have probably 2 vehicles sell between now, well, I think 3. We have a Harley too. 2 police vehicles, a Harley and a car, and then a public works vehicle that we'll be selling between now and May, likely, that we'll bring back. And then there is going to be an adjustment related to the revenue that we bring into the CDRA fund for the Canyon Center project. And we'll know the exact amount of revenue that will come in on those projects, and then we'll just get our budget set up so we can disperse that money out to the various entities that we owe that money to as we move each year through that process. So.
Well, thank you. I do have one question I didn't ask in the work session. In item number 1 in the general fund, you said the expected revenue savings was about $85,000, and we're up at 200. What does that do?
So it's timing of when everything happens. So we have a payment that's due on July 1st, the first day of our fiscal year. And when Zions Bank was doing their summing, they were including that in the other fiscal year. So as you look at it, we have a payment on July 1st and a payment on January 1st of each year that goes forward. And so the payments do a little bit of zigzagging, that they're minor in the grand scheme of it, but they do a little bit of zigzagging. We happen to be saving a lot more for the current year that we're in to 200,000, and the net about the average saving moving out from beyond this is about $65,000 or $70,000 a year. So we will have a slight, it'll look like an increase in our debt service on this, but it's only an increase to less than what we have been paying. So it'll come up just a teeny bit from that moving forward year after year.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? We will be voting on this our second action item. Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Okay. We will move to our action items, our we have 4 different, oh, go ahead, Tim.
I think we need to open the public
Oh,
hearing on
that's
this.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry. We will reopen our public comment period and invite Mickey Harris on up.
You guys are quick or nobody came. Hey, I just wanted to take a minute. So personally, Matt, thank you so much for looking into Code 14 and doing the research you did to help change our speeds for our roads. Tim, I just wanted to say thank you for meeting with us and taking the time, especially I know how busy it is down at the Capitol, but it means so much to residents. And I'm not just talking 4, I'm talking 1 and 2 and districts 3. I just feel like I'm in touch with a lot of people who want to just see this change. Even just tonight, 1 left on foot with dogs, 1 left on an electric scooter, 1 took a bike ride, 1 left in her car. So that's just out of my family of 5. 4 of us are using just different modes of transportation. So I just appreciate all the hard work and the forward thinking. Just reading about these transportation, and I'm kind of excited about maybe a new Main Street, you know, that we can all use and walk to and have what is called these 4D spaces where people can run into each other and meet and mingle. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'm sure you don't get enough, but you guys have done some excellent work. And I just wanted to say, gosh, I just cannot thank you enough from the residents, even just from my family, for my kids. Russo, you set up that speed trap, and that was awesome. And I've even just watched my speed coming down that way, and I naturally go 50 because of the design and how it kind of squeezes you with that median. And 50 is not breaking the law, but it's still too fast if I were a pedestrian walking or cycling, which I often do right there. So, I mean, we can say people are going the speed limit, but is the speed limit too high? And that's what we need data on. So thank you for reaching out and taking care of that. That's all I have to say.
Thanks,
I
Mickey.
told you it was a nice comment.
Thank you. I will actually echo your comment. We have amazing staff at the city, and it starts with our city manager and our department heads and down to their direct reports. We have amazing people who care about our city. And so I will echo your thankfulness. Okay. Now we will move to item 5.0, our legislative action items. And
Mayor, we may just need to close the public hearing if there's no other comments, just to make sure.
Okay, and for a second time, we will close the public comment period unless I see another hand. There we go. Okay. Okay. And now to our legislative action items. Beginning with 5.1, which is consideration of ordinance 376, granting a telecommunications franchise to Vikes, if I'm saying that correctly, Inc., DBA Centawave Communications. We discussed this item as a council in our work session today. And are there any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve ordinance 376.
I move to approve ordinance 376.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Great. A movement to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Bracken. I will now call for the vote. Sorry, what did I say?
just reach further to the left.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell, and I will vote yes.
Oh, now she's there.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
is that a yes vote?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Burrell, and I vote yes.
Okay, our next item is consideration of ordinance 377, which is approving an amendment to the 2021-2022 budget that Director Bird, or Burgess just spoke to us about. Any other questions or comments before we move on?
No, I think it's great that we do these quarterly and keep things up to date throughout the year. So I'll move to approve ordinance 377.
I'll second that.
Oh, did you say? I'll say Councilmember no. So we had a motion to approve from Councilmember Bracken and a second from Councilmember Newell. Now call for the vote. Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Okay, our next item is a consideration of resolution 2022-15, approving a consulting agreement with Voto Landscape plus planning for the Mountain View Park Pollinator Garden. This item was also discussed earlier in our work session. Does any of the council have any other questions or comments they'd like to provide? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution 2022-15.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilmember Peterson, and a second from Councilmember Bracken. I will now call for the vote. Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken.
Yes.
I will vote yes. Our next item is consideration of resolution 2022-16 concerning speed along Wasatch Boulevard. We also discussed this item in our work session. Any other comments or questions from the council?
No, I
Mayor,
go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Burrell.
yes, Mayor, this, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this forward. I did notice that there are two typographical errors in the resolution where SR 210 was listed as SR 201 and another place where Wasatch Boulevard was misspelled. I know those are very minor, but perhaps just for the record, if those two items are corrected, then I motion that we approve this resolution.
Great. So,
We certainly fix the typos. That's
and she mentioned that.
and I would second that. I think it's as I had noted in conversations with Council Member Burrell and others, state roads throughout Utah have a reduction in the speed limit when they pass through residential, and even throughout any size of town. This one may have just been a legacy from a long time ago where it was basically through a rural area, but it is no longer. So definitely worth emphasizing that now, and especially as they get through looking at a possible redesign. I will be voting yes.
May I also just comment this? So this is, as we talked about in the work session, I just want to make sure it's for the record. It's the second version that was included in your packet that includes the changes that Councilmember Bracken had suggested. We will also note and make the changes that Councilmember Burrell just indicated. Shane also had a couple of other minor elements related to the wording that are changed as well, but that's what this version is that we're approving tonight. I just want to clarify that.
I want to, with my wife being an author, I'm very much used to having my comments fixed.
I want to thank Councilmember Bracken for making some changes on that so that we can focus primarily right now on the speed. And I think that helped clarify and focus a little bit more on speed. So thank you for doing that.
Great. Well, and before I want to thank Councilmember Burrell for this resolution. So she played a big part in this. So Councilmember Burrell motion to approve, and we had a second from Councilmember Bracken. So I will now, without any other questions or comments, call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bracken,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Okay. The last item on our business meeting agenda is approval of the consent calendar, the city council work session and business meeting minutes for February 15th, as well as the city council legislative work session minutes for February 17th. Could I have a motion to approve these minutes?
I move to approve the minutes, Mayor.
I'll second.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Peterson, a second, and a motion to, and a second from Councilmember Newell. All in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That concludes the items on tonight's agenda. I would now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.